It's the year 1000, and England's population is thought to be somewhere between 1.7 and 2 million. About 90% of people live in the countryside. These people, in rural areas, live in small scattered hamlets, on farmsteads, making them very vulnerable to the effects of warfare, bad weather, poor harvests and diseases. 1000 to 1066, crime in Anglo-Saxon England. The king is the man responsible for making the law, with the help of his nobility. But the church also has a strong influence on ideas about crime and punishment. Saxon kings formally issue codes of law. With each new code, new laws can be introduced, existing laws changed, and laws that are being ignored strengthened. At a local level, law is enforced largely through the strong village communities and family ties throughout English society. There are three important trends in crime and punishment during the Anglo-Saxon period to look out for. Firstly, the power and influence of the king over crime and punishment grows, with penalties increasingly being decided by the king rather than by local communities. Secondly, the role of the church increases, and the church wants to give everyone who's committed a crime the opportunity to save their soul. Finally, the use of punishments overall, including the use of capital punishment, increases. Between 978 and 1016, the King of England is Ethelred. Throughout his reign there are ongoing conflicts on the border between England and Scotland, and some regions of the country are occupied by Viking settlers. In circa 1000, Ethelred attacks some Viking settlements, and he tries to stop the Viking attacks on England by making alliances with Normandy, giving him more control over his kingdom. As the authority of English kings and the territory of England grows, it becomes more accepted that the king is to make and enforce laws, where previously this had been done by communities, and had relied a lot on local customs, making this a change. Whilst the king relies on advisors to help him govern the country, ultimately it's his duty to look after the king's peace, upkeeping law and order so people can go about their daily business. Britain at this time has a roughly three-tiered social structure of nobles, freemen and serfs. It's actually a little more complicated, but 3 tiers are all you really need to know for this topic. All 3 classes are subject to the king's authority, but the king rules in close connection with nobles. Nobles keep the system going by backing laws that protect their interests, and in return for their support, the king grants them land. Actions that threaten this social structure, such as a serf picking a fight with a noble, are classed as crimes, with this type of crime being known as a crime against authority. In circa 1000, English towns are growing in importance, especially Hamwich, Southampton, where the best people are from, Eofwich, York, and Londonwich, London. These towns grow because of their settled populations, their trade connections with Europe, and the use of coined money, which makes trade much easier. These larger communities do mean, however, that there are more opportunities to commit crimes against people and property. As not everyone knows each other in towns, it makes it easier to get away with crimes. Moreover, there are lots of trade goods and money, meaning there are plenty of things to steal. Most people, however, still live in villages, where everyone knows one another, making it easier to identify and catch a criminal. Local communities are expected to take collective responsibility for upholding the law. Each area has a reeve, essentially a sheriff, who carries out the decisions made by local courts. There are other populations based around church communities. In circa 1000, several great abbeys are founded, as well as many smaller monasteries. As well as the monks and nuns, these communities require daily workers to run the buildings and supply food and other necessities. The church is very powerful, and it has a particular responsibility for moral crimes and crimes against the church. The church gets to punish those who break church law, for instance, by stealing church property. 1000 to 1066, crime in Anglo-Saxon England. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell all your friends. If you like Twitter, then you can find me there at alongtimeago_YT. Also, if you like my videos so much that you think I should get paid for it, then you can find a link to my Patreon in the description, or go to patreon.com/alonglongtimeago. If you do that, then you can get your name in the credits and also have access to some useful interactive revision quizzes. Wesarth, yay, holla.